If you're a Cleveland Browns fan looking for a break from the emotional roller coaster that is the price we pay from loving then hating our Browns, then a big welcome to Cleveland Browns Anonymous, a group therapy podcast to help you survive the season. So let's start our meeting.
Hi, everybody. This is Mike Riley once again with Brook here on Victory Tuesday. Brook, how you doing on this gray, foggy morning?
I'm doing all right. Kind of bummed Halloween's over, but at least we got a W.
Yeah, I had this feeling that we would never win. It brought me back to the bad old days of Hugh Jackson. But I had some takeaways, some initial takeaways, just looking to the game. But I'm going to start out with you. What were your initial takeaways?
Well, you see what happens when you give Nick Chubb the ball? And you play good
and
defense.
Kareem Hunt.
I mean, and especially too against the Bengals at home, Monday Night Football. So I'm enjoying it. I thought it was a great game. Really makes the other losses feel a lot worse, but I'll take it.
Well, I had a couple of thoughts jumped out at me, especially watching the first quarter or two. I had the luxury of taping it, so I could kind of rewind, watch a play, fast forward. So I noticed right away the tackling was 150% better than I've seen it. I was super impressed with Takitaki. He looked like a JOK, but I mean, he was making his tackles. I thought Emerson was making it. There were a lot of players on that defense, especially that new guy we got in, I think, from the Falcons. It just seemed like everybody was tackling and not trying to put this mammoth hit. You know, I remember anybody wants to go on YouTube and watch the Bernie Kosar Browns and the 86 team when they played. No, it was the 87 team when they played Denver in Denver, and the Browns made this furious comeback, tied the game. Broncos moved down the field. They went ahead. Browns were on their way to tie it again. And then, of course, Biner fumbles. But if you watch the game and you watch the defense, the tackling was horrendous. I mean, these guys, all they wanted to do was put a crushing hit on a guy to knock him down instead of simply tackling, fundamental tackling. And I've noticed that in the Browns, when the defense, the Joe Woods defense, and I'll give them kudos for this game, but the tackling has been horrendous for the Browns this season. And they're just, you know, a 10-yard pass will become a 30-yard pass, or a 5-yard run will become a 50-yard touchdown run, where you'll have a third string running back, practice team player, all of a sudden he's got 150 yards. And you got to ask yourself, okay, so what has happened? Because Mixon's a good runner. It's not like they can't run the ball, but the tackling was the big difference. And I think, you know, I hate to see a guy get hurt, but I think taking Jacob Phillips out and give more playing time to Takitaki and guys that can tackle players sends a message. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that you're seeing, you know, how these guys on the defensive side, what happens when they play at their full capability. I think they weren't doing that most of the season. And, you know, I give credit, whether it's to Stefanski for having his hands more on the defensive side, or it's some of the guys, you know, like Myles Garrett, Jadeveon Clowney, some of the real leaders on this team kind of get in guys' face and say, hey, look, it's time to step it up.
Well, you kind of one of the big.
How do you get a player, whether it's defense or offense, but we'll use it on the defensive side. How do you tell a guy who's making 50 million guaranteed, you need to play harder?
You take him out.
He's out.
It's real simple. Well, whatever. He's getting paid, but he's getting taken out. You're sending a message to the rest of the team. You know what? I don't want to go down a long rabbit hole here, but I'm thinking of what's going on with Kyrie Irving and the Nets. I mean, who's running this team? The coaches or the players? Once again, we got another Kyrie drama story with this tweeting out an anti-Semitic, documentary, his support for it. And of course, just the owner for the Nets just goes apoplectic. And I'm listening to these two guys talking about Kyrie yesterday on a podcast going on and on. Well, Kyrie's not a bad guy. There's all this drama. You know what? Will somebody just sit this guy down and send a message? I called the Braylon Edwards rule. And earlier in a podcast, I referenced Romeo Crennel and just sitting there while his players having a meltdown. Do you think Bill Parcells would put up with that bullshit? He'd literally have a guy escort him off the field. And then when he was questioned about it, he wouldn't say some bullshit like, well, this is a team matter. This keeps quiet. He says, no, the guy acted up. Everybody saw it. Send him off. Okay, and if he doesn't like it, tough. But if you got guys missing tackles, put somebody in who can. I don't care if there weren't a third-round draft pick like Jacob Phillips. It just seems like, what we were talking about earlier with Baker Mayfield and Case Keenum. Mayfield was clearly inferior the last 6 games. Clearly. Case Keenum comes in, they win the game. Case Keenum is like a Jacoby Brissett. Game manage, blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden the Browns win. And it just seems like maybe with a Jacob Phillips third-round pick who can't tackle versus a Takitaki who is from another regime, or a Case Keenum versus a Baker Mayfield, I think there's a little bit of prejudice maybe going around here. That if you're a high draft pick, you get a little bit more of a grading curve. Your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are that has to be challenging to tell someone who's making a lot of money and it's fully guaranteed to play harder.
Well,
that was a lot of talk. Well, hey, that was a lot of talk on the sports radio past a couple weeks. So that's just been floating around in my head.
Yeah. Well, you see what happens when the Browns tackle and don't blow coverages. I mean, even that long touchdown pass that Joe Burrow's threw. I mean, Greedy Williams was on the guy. It wasn't like the guy was wide open. There wasn't any broken coverages. They were keeping the players, and the defense was keeping the ball in front of them. They were making the tackles. They were swarming to the ball. They were helping Myles Garrett out with some creative blitzes and stunts. You're seeing these young defensive linemen kind of step it up, like Togiai, and you've got you've got guys like Takitaki and our Atlanta Falcons linebacker. What's that guy's name?
Deion Jones.
These guys are maintaining their gap responsibilities. They're playing Bill Belichick defense. It's not glamorous, but
I think we need to pump the brakes a little. It was one game. It was a great game. I need to see more consistency.
Exactly.
And Joe Woods, hey, I mean, again, I need to see more. I need to see this week after week. I'm not saying that when we play Tampa Bay or Josh Allen that it needs to be the same level of intensity and, great defense all around, but I need to see this a lot more.
I agree. Let's just look at one game does not make a season. I get it. But the difference in the reasons why they won was the defense played very well. They tackled well. They didn't give up, big chunky plays like they've been doing for the last 6 months. And I think it was a change in personnel. So that's number one. All of a sudden now, you don't have Jacoby Brissett having to win the game. Now we can give it to Nick Chubb. Now he can throw to Amari Cooper. And David Bell makes an appearance. The guy's, all he is open on the crossing routes. And you're getting Kareem Hunt the ball more. And Terry Pluto wrote a great column this morning. He said, this is the way the Browns were put together. Strong defense, punishing ground game, offensive line. I mean, kudos to the offensive line. Brissett had all day, unless they were blitzing 8 guys. So, Cade York hits a 53-yarder. Thank you. I mean, it's just a good game.
Yeah,
all the way around. But I agree. We're not winning the Super Bowl because one game. But speaking of Super Bowl, it begs the question about Cincinnati and the LA Rams, especially the Rams. They're going sideways. I mean, they're looking. I mean, how far these Super Bowl teams can plunge. I mean, look at the Falcons after they made the Super Bowl. The Rams are having a bad year, terrible year, and the Bengals. I mean, they got problems on their O-line. They had problems last year on their O-line. But if they don't have Chase in there, who can catch a 10-yarder and go 80 yards, they've got some problems. So I think if the Browns can get guys who can tackle and play good defense, the defense is the key to winning the game. Because Brissett is, if he doesn't have to win the game, with Chubb and Hunt in the backfield, and please don't trade Hunt for a 4th rounder. Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Please. When they said, well, they're listening to offers, I said, a 4th rounder? Are you kidding me?
Hey, let's stop here. We got to pay some bills. 30 seconds, and we'll be back. Getting your house ready to sell, or you just need some basic repairs, and you can't get anybody to come out or even return your phone call. Then call Riley Painting and Contracting, your home mechanics, for all of your home repair needs, from electrical, plumbing, roof repairs, and getting your house ready to sell. 45 years in the business, a AAA on the Better Business Bureau, and we're on the preferred contractor list in Cleveland Heights and Shaker Heights. You can contact us by calling 216-371-8160 and leave a message, and guess what? We'll call you back.
And why didn't we go out and get Robert Quinn from the Bears?
Well, the one that stung the most is what the Ravens did last night.
Yeah,
that
the Ravens,
awesome linebacker from the Bears. Oh,
yeah. Like we couldn't use that. But I guess we just don't have the draft capital.
Yeah, no, I mean, we don't.
What was the price they paid for that guy?
I think it was like a 2nd and a 5th.
Yeah.
But I think it was a 1-year rental.
Yeah.
But the only thing, I mean, for Kareem Hunt, if it's a 3rd-round pick, I mean, it's obviously not going to be a 1st-round pick. But if it's a 3rd rounder, or I'd take a 2nd rounder, or at least a starting defensive linebacker, then I would do it. But I'm not taking a 4th round pick. That's
a joke. You got to be overwhelmed. No, the Browns got to hold their cards. But Takitaki, he had a great game, and Emerson looked solid. And then you got to wonder about how fragile Denzel is. How fragile someone, I mean, I'm glad they picked a corner. You could never have enough cornerbacks. So, and you can never have enough running backs. I mean, you need Johnson back there, backing up Hunt and Chubb, and fingers crossed. At the end of the day, Brook, really, it comes down to injuries. and everybody was looking ahead of the schedule. They're saying, yeah, we got some cupcakes to play. The Jets, who are not that bad, they're actually pretty good, the Jets. We lost to the Falcons. I mean, we lost to games everybody thought we were going to win. And then they say the tough part of our schedule, Cincinnati, they said we got to play Tampa Bay. We got to play the Bills. I tell you something, the Bills got a lot of injuries. So do and the Dolphins, who I think are overrated. So you never know in the NFL. And it all comes down to the quality of the draft and the scouting. The Andrew Berry and their crew, getting a depth of players so you can survive this, the inevitable injuries that happen. So your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, we just got to take it one game at a time. And, the Bills, the Bucks, those are going to be really great games for us to, see where we're at, if we can hold up with these other teams. And then, we get Deshaun back. I think we got the bye week and then 2 more games, I think it is, until he's back.
No, he's got 2 more games. Yeah.
I think so.
No, I think it's 3. He came against the Texans. He's missing 11 games. So if the Browns can put together a run, fingers crossed, and when Deshaun comes back, if they can win their next 3-4 games, be 6-5, that would just be a miracle.
Oh wait, we got the Dolphins. We got
after the bye.
Yeah, so we got this Sunday. We got the bye. Next week at Miami, at Buffalo, home to Tampa Bay.
Yeah,
those are gonna be 3 pretty tough games.
Yeah, well, Cincinnati was supposed to be a tough game, and I think if the Browns can play good defense, good tackling, we have a chance to beat all 3 of these teams. And the Bills are going through some major secondary injury problems. So we'll see. I mean, the Browns are built with their run game to play in Buffalo. So, and if the defense is healthy, Miles and Clowney, I mean, they got a chance. But we can take 2 out of 3 of those games. And then Deshaun comes back. Is the Texans after Tampa Bay?
Roger Goodell. Like that wasn't planned.
Yeah.
Let's see. We'll give him 10 games. Oh no, let's give him 11 so people can watch the Houston Texans.
I think that's karma. Well, okay, so Joe Wood's job is secure for now. I'm hoping that Stefanski is more involved in all of the other facets of his coaches going on. I thought the play calling, I'd give it a B+. Again, we had that one drive, Brook, and I think Troy Aikman nailed it when Chubb jumped over that guy. God, Chubb. I mean, do you love this guy or what? He jumps over this guy. They got him on the heels. And then Jacoby's changing the play at the line and somebody does a false start. And then they start going backwards. And then they start throwing the ball. And, run the rock, right? Just keep running the rock. Good things happen. They're on their heels. They're tired. They've been on the field. That's what we need to do. So, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, ironically, speaking of the Nets, they just fired Steve Nash.
I bet Steve Nash is one happy guy.
Yeah.
I mean,
my thoughts are that everything seemed to work out yesterday. The offensive play calling, the defensive play calling, special teams. So just enjoy it,
Yeah, let's just enjoy it. I agree. Let's not overanalyze it, but there's definitely lessons to be learned and why we won.
Yeah. And winning solves a lot of problems. So, hopefully it gives these guys a bit of a spark, rest up, got the bye week, come back in the second half, and Deshaun Watson in 3 games, and we'll see.
Yeah, and I think keeping things healthy on defense, my final thought is, you look at the Eagles, how well the Eagles are playing, and one thing they have is they have a dominant defensive line across the board. They're bringing pressure up the middle. I mean, they just wear a team down. And that's what the Browns, hopefully Togiai and some of these new guys they have in there can really, really step up. And that's what you need, because your Clowney and Miles are healthy, especially Miles, who probably should have sat out another game, but he looked like the old Miles, along with tackling linebackers back there with their gap responsibilities. We're going to do okay. So we will enjoy this Sunday, Brook. We're not going to have any meltdowns, be depressed on Monday. So like I said, enjoy the victory. All right, that's our quickie recap. And Brook, we'll talk to you in about 10 days.
All right, sounds good.
Okay, thanks everybody.
All right.
Thank you for listening to the Cleveland Browns Anonymous podcast with Mike Riley. We have a lot more content on the way as we get this new podcast started. You can also check out some of our other podcasts like the Cleveland Real Estate Investor Podcast and other new ones that will start soon. On any platform that you find yourself listening to us on, feel free to leave us a like or comment or follow us. It always helps.